Have you ever heard the theory that Elon Musk could actually be an alien?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. It's all over the internet.
Yeah, it sounds like something straight out of science
Yeah.
fiction, doesn't it? But it's actually gotten really popular online, and you can kind of see why, right? I mean, the guy's doing some seriously ambitious stuff.
It is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely fueled by those big projects he's always working on. And let's be honest, his personality is pretty out there too.
Yeah, and his whole public image just adds to it. It's one of a kind, right?
Totally. And it's actually a good example of how fast these ideas can take off online these days.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, someone like Elon Musk, who's operating on such a huge scale with Tesla and SpaceX.
And Neuralink. Don't forget Neuralink.
Right, and Neuralink, exactly. And the way he uses social media, which isn't always what you'd expect, he kind of becomes this like lightning rod for all kinds of theories.
Oh, yeah, he's constantly in the news, and he's always pushing boundaries. A lot of what he does just seems impossible. So that's exactly what we're going to be looking at in this deep dive.
That's right.
We're going to explore this theory about Elon Musk's potential alien origins. It's actually super interesting to see what people have come up with. We'll be looking at the evidence in the counterarguments. Think of it as a guided tour through all the craziness online, so you don't have to spend hours going down the rabbit hole yourself.
Exactly. We've done the digging for you.
So to start things off, where did this whole alien thing even come from? What actually sparked it?
Well, this one is interesting because it didn't really start organically. It wasn't like some totally underground conspiracy theory. A big moment, and this is something you'll see mentioned a lot online, was back in 2018. Musk was doing an interview and actually made a joke about being an alien. The interviewer asked him about how he gets so much done, and Musk just said, "I'm an alien."
He was kidding, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
You're just messing around, but that kind of playful comment can really take on a life of its own on the internet.
I can see that. It's like he gave everyone permission to run wild with it. And then you add his very public focus on goals that sound like they're from a sci-fi movie, like interstellar travel and starting a colony on Mars. Those aren't your everyday goals.
Nope.
And then you have all his work with AI. It all kind of makes him seem like he's on another level.
Right. If you think about how we generally view innovation, it makes sense that he would attract this kind of
Oh,
speculation.
for sure.
He shakes up all these established industries, electric cars with Tesla, space travel with SpaceX, even neurotechnology with Neuralink. It fits this narrative that he's somehow different.
He's unusual in a way that makes people think he's not from this world.
Exactly. And this is actually a pretty common human thing. When we see extraordinary achievements, we tend to look for extraordinary explanations. If someone's doing all these amazing things across totally different fields, our usual understanding of what humans can do just doesn't seem enough.
Yeah, it makes sense. So
Yeah.
we have the joke and we have his ambitious goals. But what's the actual evidence that people point to? What makes them think Musk might really be an alien?
One of the biggest arguments is his crazy knowledge and work ethic. I mean, it seems almost inhuman. He has this deep understanding of all these super complex subjects like physics, engineering, AI, and business. People look at that and think there's no way one person can be that good at so many things. It just doesn't seem possible within the normal range of human abilities.
I can see that. When you see his interviews, he gets into all these technical details about his companies.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder how he knows so much about all these different things.
Totally.
And on top of that, there's his obsession with space, especially Mars. I mean, it's pretty well documented. He keeps talking about making humanity a multi-planetary species through SpaceX. And for some people, that's not just about the survival of humanity. They see it as a deeper desire, maybe even a subconscious desire to return home, as if he's from Mars or something.
Right, exactly. And what really stands out is how intense and focused he is on this ambition. It goes way beyond just being interested in space. It seems like it's a fundamental part of who he is.
It's a pretty big leap in interpretation, but I can see how the theory takes hold. If someone is so focused on leaving Earth, you could start to wonder if they have some hidden, maybe extraterrestrial motivation. What else do people point to?
Another thing that comes up a lot is his, let's say, unconventional behavior. Some people point to his speech patterns. Sometimes he sounds a bit more deliberate or a little less natural than how most people talk.
A little less fluid.
Yeah, less fluid. And then there's the way he thinks about problems and expresses his ideas. It's often pretty unique. And the way some people interpret this is that he's not quite in sync with typical human social norms or communication. Like he's trying to fit in, but not quite getting it right. And online, these little differences can get exaggerated and taken as evidence of something more significant.
It's amazing how those small things can be blown up into something huge online. And what about Neuralink? How does that play into this whole alien
Well,
thing?
Neuralink, yeah, that adds a whole other layer to the
It
theory.
does.
I mean, it's a pretty ambitious goal, right? Connecting human brains directly to AI. And some people take this idea that Musk is already super intelligent and think, well, maybe he's already using some kind of advanced neurotechnology.
Maybe even alien tech.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe even alien tech to enhance his own brain. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. His advanced intellect, which people already see as unusual, must be because of the very technology he's developing.
So he becomes like a living example of the transhumanist future he's trying to create,
Yeah.
but a potentially alien example, according to the theory.
Right.
And there are all those predictions he's made.
Oh, yeah, that's another big one. He seems to have made all these accurate predictions, especially in the areas he works in, like electric cars, reusable rockets, even warnings about the dangers of AI. People point to that and say, look, he can see the future. And it's not just brilliant intuition or good analysis. It's like he has access to some advanced knowledge that we don't have. Maybe he even has a deeper understanding of how technology will develop than any human could.
Yeah, it's almost like he's seeing further down the line than the rest of us. So, okay, that's the case for alien Elon. But what about the other side? What are the arguments against this theory? What makes it more likely that he's just a really smart and ambitious guy?
Well, the biggest counterargument, and it's a pretty big one, is his documented human background. I mean, we know he was born in South Africa in 1971. We have records of his early life, his education, his first businesses.
It's all public.
Exactly. And for the alien theory to work, you'd have to come up with this super elaborate story to explain all that away. Like his entire history is a fake. And that just seems really unlikely, especially with all the attention he gets.
Yeah, how would you even create such a detailed cover story and keep it going for so long?
Right. It's a pretty big hurdle for the alien theorists. And another good argument against the theory comes from his very public failures. I mean, SpaceX almost went bankrupt early on, and Tesla had huge financial problems and production issues. You'd think if he was an advanced alien with all this knowledge and ability, he could have avoided those kinds of problems.
Right? An alien wouldn't make those mistakes.
Yeah, failure in this context seems like a very human experience. It's part of the process of learning and innovating, even for the smartest people.
It makes sense. And we talked about his unusual behavior and how some people interpret that as non-human. But is there another way to look at it?
Definitely. What people see as alien-like could just be eccentricity. It's something you often see in really intelligent and creative people throughout history. Think of Nikola Tesla or Albert Einstein. They definitely weren't conventional in their behavior or their thinking. Just because someone is unique or unconventional doesn't automatically make them an alien. It often comes with the territory when you're pushing the boundaries of what's considered normal.
So it's more likely that his brilliance just shows up in ways that are different and hard to categorize.
Right.
And what about his social media? Isn't that a pretty human thing to be so involved in?
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's always on Twitter. And the kinds of things he posts, the gag jokes, the memes, all that stuff, it all points to a pretty normal human sense of humor. And his interest in things like Dogecoin, it shows he's connected to internet culture. It's hard to imagine a detached alien trying to fit in acting that way. You'd expect them to be more calculated and less playful.
Yeah, an advanced extraterrestrial wouldn't be posting memes about a cryptocurrency based on a dog.
Probably not.
So it seems pretty clear that he's most likely human. But this alien theory is still so popular. Why do you think that is? What's the cultural significance of it?
That's the really fascinating part. Why does this idea stick around even when the evidence points the other way? I think it's because it taps into this deep fascination we have with people who seem to be way beyond normal human capabilities. Especially now, when technology is changing everything so quickly, it's almost like we need an explanation that can match the scale of these achievements.
Like we're searching for an explanation that's as big as his accomplishments.
Exactly. We live in a world where technology is advancing so fast, and Musk is at the forefront of it all. It can be easier for some people to think he's not human, rather than fully accepting the potential of human innovation. It's a way to make sense of achievements that seem almost impossible for a regular person.
Right. It's like saying, no way a normal human could do this.
Yeah.
And hasn't Musk himself kind of played into this whole thing?
Oh, yeah, he's definitely leaned into it sometimes. Remember when he changed his Twitter bio to just alien?
Yeah.
That was a pretty clever way to keep the myth alive. And it probably added to his whole enigmatic, larger-than-life persona. That's a good way to get attention and keep people talking.
For sure. So to wrap things up, it seems like the evidence is pretty clear. Elon Musk is probably not an alien. But as you said, the fact that so many people believe it is really interesting.
Definitely. It tells us a lot about how we view intelligence and innovation, especially with technology evolving so rapidly. It raises a really interesting question, whether he's just a brilliant, driven entrepreneur or something we can't fully understand.
Or something else entirely.
Yeah, or something else entirely. What does this belief in the alien theory tell us about where we are as a society right now? How do we relate to these extraordinary individuals and the changes that are happening all around us? It's something worth thinking about, even after this deep dive is over.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.